the best way to destroy a nation, a group, a couple is to provoke it to tear itself apart. I was watching The Avengers recently. I realized that the most dangerous villain of all of the villains that tried to destroy the Avengers, the most powerful of villains in the galaxy, he was an ordinary dude. No superpowers, no magic, just used his intellect. And what he did was he pinned the Avengers against each other so that they corroded and they were destroyed from the inside out because they destroyed each other. And where else are we seeing this play out right now? Everywhere. And what prompted me to come on and speak about this today is actually a personal experience that just happened. And it really hit me to the core of my being, the undertones of what's happening right now in the collective, what we're seeing in our nations, what we're seeing on the global playing field of these programs of divide and conquer. But I'm rebuilding my website and redoing the testimonials page. And I have a lot of amazing testimonials. And yet there's this one man that I worked with, and he's an incredible man, brilliant, doing amazing things. And we did really good work together. He got a pretty amazing transformation. And since then, he learned a lot and he went on to share it with the world and he became an influencer. He became quite influential in what he's doing. And I reached out to him to ask him if he would write me a testimonial. He blew it off in a very strange way a few weeks ago. And so I followed up, just like tuning in. He shared that he didn't feel comfortable associating his name to me or to my brand because of my views on masks and vaccines. And he said respectfully, we did great work. He might even love to work with me again in the future when things are flowing for him. However, he cannot associate his name to my name because I am sharing my views quite authentically and honestly about masks and vaccines. I recognize what he was really saying is that he's afraid. He's afraid to tarnish his name by association with mine because of what I stand for. Well, he said it in a really beautiful and authentic and genuine and compassionate way. I just realized really what is happening. We have been segregated and separated by so many different metrics, right? White versus blacks, gays versus straights, man versus woman, Asian versus white versus black versus all the native versus not native, this country versus that country. We look for ways to rip us apart in every single way. And it was religious versus non-religious, or left versus right, conservative versus liberal versus Democrat versus all of the different things. And now it's vaccinated versus unvaccinated. It's pro-COVID versus anti-COVID. It's just another way to completely polarize and to go in deeper into the binary separation programming that is a virus, the true virus, that is deeply permeated through the collective, that is ripping us apart as a human species, as a human family, and we are too stuck in our ignorance to see what is actually happening. Getting on social media makes me feel so disgusted, not because somebody of the opposite viewpoint is sharing their viewpoint. It is in the way in which we are choosing so unconsciously to show up right now. You are not going to hate your opposition into listening to you. You are not going to shame somebody into hearing you. You are not going to go to war to come to a resolution, although it might seem like that because of our history. However, that is dominating, it's oppressing, it is deep disconnection from our human nature. When are we going to realize that this reality is a game of perception where all permutations of possibility are not capital T true, but little t true? Because this is a subjective reality. It's not an objective reality. And so do I believe that masks are ridiculous? Yes. Can I see why people think that they are necessary? Yes. Do I want to vaccinate myself? Hells to the no. Do I understand why people are pro-vaccine? Yes. Do I believe that we all have the best intentions for ourselves, our families, and our loved ones? Yes, I do. I do believe that everybody is doing their absolute best with what they have and where they are, and with the inputs and the socialization and the programming that they came into this world and through nature and through nurture were programmed. And so I can have compassion for people that have a different viewpoint than me. And I can have a deep understanding and a grace in my heart for them. And I just wish this. I wish this that we could see this tactic that's truly happening of divide and conquer. And it's a tactic that is intentionally used, right? Even when you look at big media companies, how they hyper target marginalized populations or populations that they feel they can persuade into different opinions. And so they create campaigns and they pin people against one another. Just like how, whether you believe it or not, how people, say that the Black Lives Matter movement that was created by the Liberal Party to create the uprising and the uproar and the chaos, right? Like it just goes so deep. It goes so deep with the disconnection of the internet and how we get to show up as a profile picture and we get to show up behind our screens in the safety of our home in the bubble, imagining that we are disconnected. We have lost the humanness and the interconnectedness and the remembrance that we are one, like truly one, yes, in source consciousness, but one as a race on this planet, our planet, that we are of, right? The true mother. And if we could remember that and speak to one another with a little bit more compassion and a little bit more understanding. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Listen twice as much as you speak. Listen twice as much as you speak, and listen with an open heart, realizing that everybody is doing their best with what they've got. And when we can come to the space and have conversation, potentially even collaboration, rather than condemnation, right? Imagine if we were actually working together. And I know that's hard because there are different agendas at play and different powers at play and major oppressive movements at play as well, whatever side of the coin you fall on in the division of consciousness and binary thinking. But it's not getting us to where we want to be. It's not actually moving the needle forward in the conscious co-creation of the next iteration of our evolution. It is further separating us. And when we are divided, we are weaker. Whether you want to believe that or not, look around at social media. Look at all of the hate. Look at all of the hatred. Like in your heart, in the depths of your heart. Is that how you would treat a friend or a lover or a family member? And maybe it is. And maybe that's the problem. Because just because somebody else has the different of opinion as you, doesn't mean that you have to hate them. I wonder, my invitation is, how can we have more compassion, more respect, more kindness, more openness, and come from our hearts? Right? Most people want to enjoy life. Most people want to walk outside and be able to smile at the person walking by you, not get into a civil war. Like heaven is not this, in my opinion, again, other side of the coin, it's not this place that we go after we die. Maybe it is, but right now, heaven is an energetic and it's a way of being. It's a way of co-creating reality, and heaven is a frequency that we get to anchor into this 3D or 5D or 9D, whatever reality you're in right now, dimensional reality that we are all co-creating together. I just want to say that's totally cool that you don't agree with my opinions, and that's totally cool that we are not on the same wavelength in every discussion, and I still love you. You know why? Because I am a loving person, and that's how I choose to show up. Because that's the world that I want to see. That's the world that I want to be in. Because I realize that as a human race, as a global community, we will only rise when we rise together.